like breweries are definitely struggling, and part of that struggle is the not knowing, is the trying to continually like regrow and pivot and figure out what we need to do in order to survive.
Seeing a lot of these tap rooms that, their tap rooms are closed, but hopefully with all of the local, shop local and order local and pick up local initiatives, some of that is kind of being replaced by takeout as opposed to just nothing whatsoever.
So the last time we spoke, we were there at Haymarket, and you could do that kind of thing. That feels like a million years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a restaurant full of people having the time of their lives. How are things? First of all, how are you doing with all of the changes that we've been going with the pandemic?
Yeah, definitely hanging in there. It's been super interesting to try and pivot the business to try and keep like the doors open, keep making sure that we're out there in front of our fans and that we're staying relevant in a period of time when we can't sell that pint across the bar.
Right. I mean, what you make is such a social product. I mean, the whole point of making it is for people to get together and have a good time. And when you remove that part of the equation, that has got to be just incalculable.
Yeah, it's super tough. And, we generally, at any given time, we've got a staff of about 75, 80 people. And right now we're running everything with a staff of about 5 people.
Oh, wow.
So it's been super interesting. We're definitely very excited for the idea to get reopened.
Right. With that in mind, I know that the Brewers Guild there in Illinois. What kind of direction? I mean, you're on the board, obviously. What kind of direction is the guild giving brewers across the state for how to reopen safely and
Well, so right now, because there just isn't a lot of guidance on exactly when reopen is going to happen.
Right.
Right now, it's a lot of like information sharing. So our executive director sends out an email today with some information of like the CDC just put out some guidelines for reopen on things. The Brewers Association has some various guidelines on those things as well. So right now it's mostly kind of compiling that information, making sure we're getting that out to our members so that they're in the loop. But we just have no real idea like how close we even are to the concept of a reopen.
With everything that's going on, I've read stories, horror show stories that suggest that maybe we could lose half of all craft breweries if things continue to kind of go the way they're at. You're obviously somebody that's very well connected with the brewery scene there in Chicago and indeed across the state. So, I mean, are you hearing things being that dire? Is that kind of the sense that you get that we could lose a lot of our favorite breweries?
Yeah, you know what? It's a real bad situation.
Yeah.
And just not being able to have what is a huge aspect for most places, being able to sell a beer across the bar. You think of all your tap rooms, think of brew pubs, a lot of them don't package beer. So a lot of places, all they have is the opportunity to sell beer in growlers right now. A growler is an imperfect vessel. People don't really like them that much. Right. Certainly not as much as cans. So the breweries are definitely struggling. And part of that struggle is the not knowing, is the trying to continually like regrow and pivot and figure out what we need to do in order to survive. So I would say that it's definitely going to be really hard for a lot of people.
How do you stay relevant? I mean, you said it's important to stay relevant in this time where you've got consumers who maybe haven't thought about Haymarket, in part probably because they've got their own stuff going on, right? But How do you stay relevant? What's your strategy so that people don't forget about you?
So, I mean, obviously right now everything is sort of online and or virtual. So we do a weekly virtual happy hour with various different themes. So for May Day, we did a Haymarket history.
Right.
We had a local historian come on and, just went through a lot of like our own history, talking about some of our beers and things and how they relate to this awesome historical thing that happened right here that a lot of people don't know about. And then, just yesterday we had our virtual happy hour was a panel on diversity in the brewing industry. So just bringing in a lot of people to sort of start the conversation of how do we build an industry that is more diverse, or that at least is trying to become more diverse and open up opportunities for more folks.
How do you think this is going to change our industry for the better? I mean, we talk about going back to normal, and maybe there's a way to be better than normal. Do you think there's an opportunity here to maybe make things a little bit better? You mentioned the diversity, that sort of thing. Can we expect this? I mean, being on pause like this, do you think it's going to cause some reflection and maybe improve the industry we love so much?
I think it is, because I think every business is having to go through and look at all of the assumptions that they've made that have gotten them this far in business, and they're having to rebuild everything. So we're having to look at the way we brew beer, and the way that we sell beer, and the way that we run our entire operation, and we're having to look at how to do that differently and how to do it more efficiently and how to do it better for our community. So I feel like all businesses are probably going through that right now, but specifically breweries, because we're pretty hard hit.
To have something that is this important to us and this important to so many people across the state that have had a dream and they've made that dream real, and to get kicked in the stomach like this, it's a lot to take, right?
It is. It's scary. The number of people that their livelihoods are really on the line right now.